Okay, I know I stunk up the joint last week. I was terrible. If you missed it, probably a good thing you did. I debuted my college football picks for 2012 last week, and boy, was I an embarrassment. I picked 11 games. I got uno correct. That's right. Against the spread, I was 1-10. If it weren't for Purdue covering against Notre Dame, I would have laid a big, fat goose egg. I would have been 0-11, but I went 1-10. Maybe I should be thanking my lucky stars that I was 1-10. By the way, the almighty coin went 8-3 against the spread. So the coin not only kicked me, but actually went way above 500 in the process. That's right. This little guy right here is right now 7 games better than me. But good news for me is that this is another week. More importantly, this is a marathon and not a sprint. Comebacks have happened before. Just ask the 1992 Houston Oilers against Buffalo that year in the wild card round if comebacks can't happen. So, try to make up some ground this week. It's all state of mind. Let's go ahead and begin my picks. If you've never seen how this works, I pick a series of games. This week I'm going to pick 12 games. I pick them against the spread. So I'm not only picking a team, but I'm taking the point, the Vegas point margin into consideration. And this almighty guy right here, the coin, if it lands on heads, it likes the favorite. If it lands on tails, it likes the underdog to cover. So this is what I got to go against. So let's go ahead and begin the picks for the week of September 15th by picking a September 13th game first, a Thursday night game in the Big East, Rutgers at South Florida, a couple of unbeaten teams, but that will change Thursday night. South Florida impressed me, not only because of the fact that they won at Nevada, but they also came from behind in doing so with a couple of big touchdowns in the fourth quarter to get victory against the Wolfpack. B.J. Daniels, I think, is the real thing, and I think South Florida's offense will be too much, plus playing in Tampa will make a difference as well. So give me South Florida against Rutgers, minus the 9.5, and the coin is going to take Rutgers. Now let's go ahead and move to Saturday games. September 15th, we'll begin with the Big 12 game. The Big 12 opener, by the way, it's TCU at Kansas. Horned Frogs opened play last week with a big win over Grambling, but we knew that was going to happen. Kansas looked like they were going to win, but got snake bit by a field goal at the gun, a 45-yarder to lift Rice to victory over Kansas. James Sims, Kansas' all-everything running back, still serving that 3-game suspension. That's going to hurt in this one. And I think TCU's offense will be too much. The game's in Lawrence, but TCU, the superior team, and they'll show it on Saturday. Give me TCU minus the 20.5, and the coin is going to take TCU as well. Speaking of Big 12, Texas Longhorns playing at Ole Miss. A couple of unbeaten teams to start 2012. It'll be a late-night kickoff from Ole Miss on Saturday. And even though I still don't think a lot of Texas' offense, I think their ground game plus their defense will make the difference in this one. Texas may not score a lot of points in this game, but they won't have to. They'll cover the 11. Give me the Longhorns minus the 11 points, and the coin is going to take Ole Miss. Alabama at Arkansas. The Razorbacks, victims of the biggest upset so far of this season, losing to Louisiana-Monroe. And to make matters worse, doesn't appear as if Tyler Wilson is going to play in this game. As of September 13th, he's listed as doubtful. So that just compounds the problem. Bama, even though they have a running back out for the season, they still have plenty of depth in the backfield. Their defense, their athletes, their coaching. It's a coaching mismatch between John L. Smith and a guy who's won, 3 national championships, and Nick Saban. Yeah, I'm taking Bama on the road minus the 19 points. And the coin is going to take Alabama as well. Speaking of Louisiana-Monroe, they're in action against another SEC opponent. Could they pull it off again against Auburn? Now, you might say it'll be an emotional letdown because Monroe just came off a big win. They were the big talk on SportsCenter, on all the sports channels, on all the websites all week because of their big win on the road at an SEC opponent. This is one of those games where, you're going against a team that won the national title 2 years ago, but it's not the same Auburn team. Auburn got whipped by Mississippi State last week. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see Louisiana-Monroe play very competitive in this game. Auburn probably wins in the end because this time they're aware of how good Louisiana-Monroe is, but I think in this case 16.5 is too many for the favorite Auburn. So give me Louisiana-Monroe plus the 16.5. I'm going with the underdog in this one, and the coin is going to take Louisiana-Monroe as well. Now let's move to the Big Ten. You have Cal at Ohio State. The Buckeyes won last week. A little bit tougher than a lot of people thought, though, as they had just enough to beat Central Florida. But you know what? Ohio State, right now, you could say they or Michigan State are two of the best teams in the Big Ten Conference. Cal, not impressive a couple of weeks ago when they lost at home to Nevada. I think Ohio State and Urban Meyer Company, I think they have a more impressive showing this week as opposed to last week. So give me Ohio State minus the 18 points. The coin is going to go with Ohio State too. Missouri at home against Arizona State. Looked like the Tigers had the game in control against Georgia last week, but then late third quarter and all the fourth quarter, it was all Bulldogs. I think Missouri bounces back this week, and plus Mizzou remembers what happened when they played at Arizona State last season. They got beat, so maybe a measure of revenge for Mizzou in this one. So give me the Tigers minus the 7.5 at home, and the coin is going to take Missouri too. BYU at Utah. Utah last week lost in overtime on the road to Utah State, and Jordan Wynn won't be playing at quarterback. So BYU off to a good start. They're actually favored on the road. I know Utah blew BYU out last year. I think that's fresh in the memory banks of the Cougars players and coaches. So I think BYU with no Jordan Wynn playing for Utah, I think BYU gets the job done and gets revenge. Give me BYU minus the 4, and the coin is going to take BYU as well. The coin and I are agreeing on just about everything this time. Virginia is at Georgia Tech. Virginia, in my opinion, lucky to win last week against Penn State. The Nittany Lions missed an extra point and missed 4 field goals, including the game winner, and Virginia won the game by a point. Now Virginia has a 2-game road stretch in which they play at Georgia Tech this week, plus at TCU the following week. I think Virginia comes back down to earth a little bit. The rushing attack of Georgia Tech will be too much in this one. Give me Georgia Tech minus the 10. And remember, Georgia Tech played Virginia Tech tough on Labor Day night, lost that game in overtime. Georgia Tech's better. Give me the Rambling Wreck minus the 10. And the coin is going to go with Virginia. USC at Stanford. This game will be nationally televised on Fox Saturday night. USC last week did win at Syracuse, but the margin of victory wasn't as big as a lot of people thought it was going to be. I think they won by a couple of touchdowns. But I think this week they get it right. Stanford's good, but not as good as last year. And USC, I think, not only wins, but makes a statement in doing so. So give me USC minus the 9 points, and the coin is going to go with USC too. You have Florida at Tennessee. A couple of unbeaten teams to start 2012. Florida on the road last week spoiled A&M's SEC debut with a victory. Big difference from last week to this week is that last week Florida, even though they played well and came from behind in doing so, were going against a freshman quarterback. This week they're not. They're going against a veteran QB and Tyler Bray. I think that plus the Volunteers' home field advantage will be the difference in this one. Look for Tennessee to get by Florida. Give me Tennessee minus the 2. And the coin is going to go with Tennessee as well. And you have, finally, Notre Dame is at Michigan State. One of the big games of the week. Both teams 2-0. Michigan State, they've looked good so far. Notre Dame had just enough to get past the scrappy Purdue squad last week. Michigan State playing this game at home, plus the fact that Notre Dame beat them to a pulp last year. I think Michigan State gets revenge, and Michigan State's got one of the best defenses in the country. Look for Michigan State to beat Notre Dame. I look for Michigan State to win minus the 3.5, and the coin is going to go with Notre Dame. So those are my picks for this week. What about yours? Just a reminder that my OU weekly matchup show, my preview of Oklahoma against Kansas State, will be on Tuesday. September the 18th, Lord willing. And just a reminder that about this time next week, we'll review the picks that the Coin and I just made, and we'll also highlight the September 22nd games on college football picks. That'll be about this time next week on YouTube. So make sure to check that out. See you next time.